Welcome everyone to Tuesday night show and share, where we show off our projects, things we're working on, things we've made, things that we've utterly screwed up. It's a great time. I have a list of people that are willing to come up to the mic and talk. First up we have Toby.
So I have a ongoing project with the Girelephant, and for those that don't know on YouTube land, basically it started out as a half giraffe, half elephant. Don't ask why. It was a moment of non-sleeping at the time, but it graduated to a 3D model at one time, about 18 months after its inception, and then probably about another 6 or 7 months after that, my sister saw it and she's like, I want one of the 3D models, and she crocheted me one. So from that form, I went ahead and 3D scanned him and made him into several different pieces and parts. This one, that's actually tiny, but he is actually out of regular resin. So let me zoom in on him. So this one I was going to make him teeny tiny, and as soon as we get the jewelry and stuff working, we were going to make him into metal and make him into a little necklace for my sister, because she's the one that crocheted him without pattern. Well, since then, I've thought of other different ways to try and make the jewelry through lost wax casting. So I actually made a wax version of him, which is also 3D printed. I'll zoom out a little bit. That way you can actually see the figure and everything. So this one's actually made out of wax, which last week we set him on fire and he melted down to nothing. Just a puddle of nothing. So I was thinking, what other kind of medium can I go ahead and make this thing out of? So I bought some other resin that I just found out about, and believe it or not, this one, the clear one, this is actually made out of silicone. So he actually flexes and everything. And you can move and rotate his head like an actual little toy. So, this was 3D printed, yes. This was 3D printed Saturday. From the same printer that actually did the wax casting. As you can see, they're the exact same model, and they're identical. Unlike the one that I made a little too small, but he come out as well. So we're actually going to do the opposite at some point, and we're going to take the inverse of that by making a box around him and cutting him out, and see if we can go ahead and pour into it maybe pewter, because it will actually melt and pour into silicone. So we actually may make a pure silicone cast of him. I didn't know his feet actually moved too. That's kind of weird. But the other thing I also noticed is when you print on a resin printer, you have lots and lots of supports, because it actually prints top down. So it actually prints and pulls it out of the vat. So the weird thing about this is all these supports flex too. So when I was pulling it off of the build plate, I had a big problem scraping that off, because he stuck rather well to it. But as you can see, it's also silicone and everything. But I wanted to show, with all the supports and everything, how clear he is. And you can see the tail and little ears and the antlers and the little mouth. So, but basically, I'm just learning how to make him in other media, and of course, we'll end up, when we do it, use wax sprues to do a lost wax casting, and that's my new silicone media. Any questions? Yes.
Did you have to do like post processing with the model? Because I noticed the silicone
Well, the hair, the difference between the last one that I had and the new one that I've done, I had all the yarn hair was actually kind of spiky. And the reason why I went through and smoothed it down is because I kept feeling the spiky hair and it actually poked me. And I was thinking for a necklace, I couldn't do that. So I went ahead and literally smoothed the hair back, kind of greased it back on him, give him a wet look. And so that way he would, that way it wouldn't actually grab and barb, you know, your chest or something like that if it was on a necklace. And we will actually add the little loop after we get it printed, because printing it with a loop, then you basically have to end up destroying your mold. And it's like, if we can make a mold, do it, pour it and pewter into it with the spurs and everything, then we could reuse the silicone mold as a 2-part mold. Yes. Any other questions? Okay.
Next on our list, we have Victor, who has door thingies.
Well, more 3D printing, and if you thought you were going to get away without hearing about Doctor Who again, you were wrong. Sorry. I didn't think to take a picture of my door before this process, but here's part of my door with the lock removed. It was a really old brass lock. It was actually quite beautiful. There's the hole that it was left inside, and there's the mechanism. So for those of you who know, it's a pretty old lock. They don't make them like that anymore, and it was a bear to get out. But I noticed that my door could kind of do this. And so I'm a big Doctor Who fan, so I wanted to make it look like one of the TARDIS doors. And what I ended up doing is I actually had purchased this online, and I 3D printed this little handle. So if you're familiar with the police box, like they would have these out in the countryside or whatever. It's kind of like the little blue phones they have on UT campus. And there would be a phone in there that would actually go to the local constable. And so that's supposed to open up a little door. But that's actually just one of the panels on the door. And before we get to the full door reveal, what I had to do to create these little guys up at the top, and you notice that like each different TARDIS has like a different, that's a spaceship, by the way, TARDIS, time and relative dimension in space. Each one of these has sort of a different vibe going on. The more modern ones have like white, some of the older ones have this darker coloring. And so I kind of wanted to do a little bit of the older style, but also pay homage to the newer stuff. So one of the great things about 3D printing is that you can iterate very quickly. I got on Tinkercad, and I measured the little windows up at the top, and I came up with this guy, which you can't really see very well because, let me move that real quick. You can't see because it's incredibly thin. It's way too thin, way too fragile. You'd never see that like far away. So I went back in and made them a little thicker, except they're actually two-dimensionally very thin. So that was them thick and thick. And then I spray painted them this glittery blue, which doesn't really match the flat blue, but I don't care. I will say also that these were a bear. Like I don't usually have to scrape off my 3D prints, but because there wasn't much to grab onto, I like pushed some of the plastic into my cuticle, which is a fun day. Yeah. Also, to get that sort of frosted glass look, I actually just got some shelf liner. I got some clear stuff that has patterns on it. I didn't realize so this is where the like tinkering comes in, right? Regular shelf liner that has the contact paper stuff, it's a little sticky, right? That's easy. And I'd already been putting that up on my windows because the sun comes in and it was like bothering me and whatnot. This stuff didn't have anything, so I had to figure out both how to mount this onto a piece of glass and survive Tennessee summers, and how to get this stuff to stick. So like I said, the contact paper was easy enough. The shelf papers, you just peel off the backing and it goes up on there. This stuff, I actually used this Gorilla Tape mounting tape. And if anybody knows the best way to cut mounting tape, please let me know. Because scissors, I mean, you can do it, right? But scissors, X-Acto knife, whatever, it's a real bear. So what's nice is that you've got this little textured part. And so here it is with the lock installed, which I thought looked pretty nice. And unfortunately, this does not open, and there's not a phone behind that, but I don't need people going up to my front door and opening little doors. So, but there it is. There's one of them finished. I just used Gorilla Glue gel on there, so we'll see how well it works when it expands and contracts and expands and contracts over time. And there's the 3 of them I got installed before I came over here. This is number 4 waiting to go up because it's been a very long day. And it took 1 hour and 40 minutes to print each one of these, believe it or not. And I'm using tough PLA, not just regular PLA. The little door handle, I actually am using regular PLA, and I kind of wish I had painted it with like a shinier silver, like a polished silver, to sort of protect it from the heat. So we'll see if all of this melts off of my door, and I will let you. Really? Oh, good. Well, then I'll have a chance to reprint it in tough PLA. I can't wait. All right. Anyway, any questions? Yeah. That's a good question. The TARDIS has changed scale. So like in regards to my door, it's almost 1-to-1. If you look right now, Shuji Nagawa and David Tennant, thank you. Wow, I told you it's been a long day. I've had 3 hours of sleep. It's like way tall. Like the doors themselves are very tall. But what's weird about police boxes is that they're also very narrow and they open from the middle inward. I wasn't going to do that with my front door. I might do it with another door someday. But yeah, it's almost 1-to-1. The only thing that's missing, if you notice, is like it's a regular door. So it's got 2 small panels on the bottom, 2 long panels, whereas the TARDIS would have like 4 panels, all symmetrical. Yeah. Anything else? All right.
Thank you. Next up, we have Brian, who has a happy coat.
Hey, Tracy's mom. All right. I was refurbishing a older Kenmore sewing machine, and it's maybe even older than I am. And I needed a project, so I decided I was going to make basically a Japanese happy coat, which is like a jacket that they often wear at festivals. And I was strictly going by the design or the pattern that I had online. There are a few things I would wind up doing different later, but the main body of it is all cut out of just one piece. It's all how you fold it, and then you make your cuts, and then it just unfolds, and there's only seams up the bottom on the side and the bottom of the arm on both sides, and the jacket is done. And then you just add the embellishment there. And then inside the arms and the sleeves, since that is often seen, I decided to go ahead and add some contrast there, which you often see in Japanese happy coats. So, of course, nothing in the Japanese realm fits me, unless you're going to a sumo shop somewhere. So, hence I got a model to wear it. But I just wanted to make it. It's been a lot of fun. I will probably tinker around making some more, and you know, as you experiment, you're like, all right, this doesn't work as good as I want. I'm going to do it different next time. So I've definitely got some ideas for that. And really about it. I just had a lot of fun making it. And, you know, anybody can sew if they just put their mind to it and start playing with it. Any questions? Yes, indeed. I was happy to play with my new machine. New to me. All right. Thank you.
next up, we have Erin, who has a Princess Peach cosplay and modeling it herself, I see.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen, and this is Erin. And we did, for our project this last week, we took an old thrift store wedding dress, and we cut off the sleeves, and we wanted to make a Princess Peach kind of cosplay. And we learned some things like RIT, synthetic dye. Maybe check it before just setting a timer and like assuming it'll be done like at that time, because it came out a little darker than we had anticipated. So we had to use different material for the accent pieces. And those ones, we still have a little bit more to go. Yeah, do you want to stand right in front of here? Show off your cool outfit. There you go. Yes.
Looking good, kid.
But you need to talk in the mic.
Do you want to try it? No? Okay. And this one actually made the crown all by themselves out of, what did you make it out of?
A planter.
It was out of a compostable planter. Yeah, I know. Reduce, reuse, recycle on that. It was great. And just some paint and an old like barrette that we took apart and repurposed. And we already had the Luna Lovegood wig, so we just snipped it a little bit. And I think we might add some foam where the bangs go to kind of give it like a poof. We still have the side panels to sew on, and hopefully that'll go okay. My sewing machine kind of bit the dust a little bit, so I have to do it here. And hopefully it'll turn out looking pretty good. I think it looks great already. She's done a ton of work on it, and I'm loving it. You want to give it a good twirl?
Give us a twirl, yeah.
Oh. Thank you. Were there any questions before we go? Okay. Thank you so much.
Next up, we have more fiber arts from Lori with a Flourish update.
All right, so those who weren't here last week, the Flourish Fashion Show, I'm actually doing 3 outfits for it and asking for help from anybody. Some of the things that I've asked for help that people have brought in and stuff. So any type of fishnet hose, fishing nets, or if you want to crochet some fishnet pattern, Amy did this for me. So she brought it in, which is really cool. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be awesome. And then Neil made me some spikes, lathed them, which are gonna go on the shoulders. It is funk versus punk, and I'm doing punk. So I'm looking at you two, Aliki and Joe. Yes, maybe you guys can help me out with some stuff. Yeah, and yes, and I would like some metal jewelry of some scrap metal for him, if possibly. So I'll talk to you guys. And I was having trouble finding size 11 like boots or something like that, or like combat boots or black shoes or something. So I found these for $3 at a thrift store, and the money goes towards kitties, which is awesome. But these are like really cool shoes, and I'm thinking about maybe putting, if anybody has any like spare or tires that we can cut up and like make them taller or something like that. Russell. Yes, tires. Have some tires glued on the bottom of it, and Neil brought me some spikes too, some metal spikes. So spikes, tires, you know, make them big and monstery. But what? He's a little bit smaller, but I love Isaac's shoes. Maybe we put some together. Now I did come in. I've been working on the skirt, and my pictures. So funny because of course I like to have fun doing things, and I didn't take like a real picture, but I took a video when I was like, oh, I gotta show everybody what I'm doing, but I took a video. So this is Ash, by the way. I took the wood milling class from Brian, and he gave us an ash board, and mine said Ash on the top of it, so I named my board and I put Googly Eyes on it. So he got dressed up when I'm making the skirt, and so I made a little video. I thought I took photos, but I didn't. So the skirt that I have, it's actually made out of a theater curtain that I got for $3 from a thrift store. So it's gonna have like an 8-foot long train. And so I serged the outside of it. So I learned how to use the serger. And then this weekend I learned how to thread the serger, all of them. Yes, yes I did, I know. It took me an hour and a half to get it all threaded. I watched some videos and there were little tricks here and there that I'm like, oh, it's gotta go behind this and it's gotta be behind that. So when Sue mentioned, when I said, hey, can I use the serger? And she's like, hey, can you use the blue thread that's already in there? And I'm like, well, my skirt's black. And I'm like, I don't know, but you know what? I gotta take what's given to me. Thank good, because it takes a long time. She's like, it's a hard thing to thread, but I learned how to do it. And so I finished it up this weekend and I drew, so that's chalk circles. So the skirt's gonna have circles of fabric and a low or a high low skirt. So you'll see it added to it. So I'm gonna start adding the ruffles hopefully for next week. So that's what's going on. So thank you everybody. And I'm hoping to give updates every week. So I'm so proud of myself for not waiting for the 48 hours before it's due, because that's when I usually do things. Oh, you have a question? Yes.
Can you remind us when it is?
The Flourish Fashion Show is the 21st of April. It's a Sunday from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And it is, it's one of their largest fundraisers that they have. So, yep. Oh, yes.
What other fabrics do you need?
Right now I need fishnet, any type of fishnet, fishing net, any color is fine. I think I'm okay. Duskin donated a whole bunch of sheer black and white fabric for me to use. Oh, any wool rovings that anybody has. So anything from wool, from like needle felting or wet felting if you're doing your own wool yarn, any scraps of that I could use also. And I can't remember what else. There is a list on the mannequin. I have the 2 mannequins in the sewing area, the fiber arts area, that I'm gonna be dressing up. So you can watch things come alive there. And there's also a Flourish 2024, what is it called? On the Discord. So if you wanna click on that, if you wanna help with anything. All right, thank you. Oh, yes, question.
The shoes that you have there, you were asking for tires. Are you trying to platform them?
Yes, I would love to do that.
Okay, I have some ideas I'd like to tell you.
Sweet. Yes. Okay. Awesome. I'm up for any ideas, any helping. It's super fun. It's all about, for me, it's about collaborating, connecting, and making things together. That's my favorite thing in the whole wide world. So, and learning new things. All right. Thank you. Any other questions? Nope. Okay, good.
Next up on the list is me, who I normally wouldn't share if I was MC, but the project is due this weekend, so this is my last chance. I'm going to a geography conference next week, and they asked me to make a map as like a prize, like a door prize. So this is my hydrology map of Tennessee. So it's laser cut, as you can see. This is a cabinet door that I got from someone's barn that is a member here, but I can't remember who it was. So if it was you, thank you. I finally am using them. And then plywood with all the rivers and lakes cut out, and then I painted the, where it extended out or where you could see it. So, yeah, show it under here. It's pretty neat. And then I put the TriStar in there with and painted the background of that blue like the rivers, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, so I'm really proud of it. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
Yeah, how did you load the map image onto the CNC machine? How did that work?
I used QGIS, which is a geography editing program, and exported it as an SVG and then loaded it into Inkscape. And then did a lot of editing. But it was most of the editing that I did was simplifying, because if you think about a river, if you zoom in really far, it's very wiggly, and my file was huge because there was lots and lots of points, like million. It was quite large and took a really, really, really long time to engrave. So I simplified it. I spent about an hour simplifying it, and then I chose the wrong file when I got to the laser, so that sucked. But next time. Anyone else? Sorry? Oh yes, I put a hanger on the back. This is the hardware that the person who gets it, but you know, it's just a picture wire. So, and I'm going to, tonight, I'm going to engrave my signature and the year on the back of it. So I thought about putting like where I got the data, but that seems too long. So, and you had a question?
What did you use to go back in the water?
I used acrylic paint from the paint section, the arts and crafts section. And then when I looked at it under better lighting, I saw that I missed a bunch of spots, so I used a Sharpie. Whatever works. Anyone else?
You painted all of that by hand? All those squiggles?
These squigglies, no. These are laser engraved, but this stuff where it was like wider, then yes. And then underneath here I also painted so you could see where there was lakes or whatever. All right, so announcements. Thank you. This Saturday, there is a blacksmithing class at 11 o'clock. This just went up on the calendar today, so if you didn't see it, because it just went up there. So is there tickets left? I don't know. Hopefully there's tickets left. There should be. If you want to get authorized in the blacksmithing section, go to the calendar and sign up for that. On Sunday at 10, there is a fabric party that Sue is hosting. It's free to attend. Basically what it is we have a ton of donations for fabrics, and they're just all sitting unorganized in bins. So everyone can come together and learn about what different fabrics feel like. So you can take out a fabric and say, oh, this is cotton, this is polyester, this is, I don't know what it is, Sue, please help me. Maybe you can talk about like what works best for what project, or just basically like look at all the different fabrics that we have, put them in nice, neat, organized piles, put them back in the bins, but nice, neat, and organized, and fold them and then put them back, right, and just have a good time. And like I said, that's free. You don't really have to sign up. Just show up. It's at 10 on Sunday morning. 10 till 4. So is it drop-in? If you can't make it the whole time, just stop by when you can. Next Wednesday, there's a Metalworking 101, which is the authorization class for metalworking. Not tomorrow, next week. And that's about what's coming up for the next couple weeks. On May 5th, we have our Makers Market. Woo! The booths are sold out now, so we have a waiting list. But if you're going to be here, you are welcome to volunteer. It's a super fun time. You can talk to Aliki or Russell. There's plenty of things to do. You can help set up, you can help take down, you can be like vendor support and bring people water, give tours. You know, we'll find a job for you. There's easy, there's difficult. It's a good time. It's a good time. Oh yes, and we also have our mystery maker machine, which Sean created for our last market, where we have like one of those little quarter machines you see at the grocery store, where you put a quarter in and you get like a prize. Well, we are making them so we can make our own prizes. And they are sitting on the arts and crafts table. If you have little tiny cool things that you want to donate to the maker mystery maker machine, and then people can, you know, put a quarter in and get your little piece of art. I think that's it. So everyone go have a good time.